There's no question that social media has become problematic for the mental health of billions of people across the globe, and now, almost 2 decades in, we can say with certainty that this addiction to our apps and devices have led to a major rise in anxiety, depression, and even suicide. At the beginning of 2021, I set a goal to read 2 books a month, and I read Atomic Habits by James Clear and Digital Minimalism by Cal Newport in hopes to get a better grip on my daily mental well-being. I was deeply inspired by both of these books and thought that now was a better time than ever to put some of the lessons that I learned into practice. I've decided to do a 30-day digital detox by combining a daily habit lessons from Atomic Habits and doing a digital detox from Digital Minimalism. Personally, I'm super guilty of allowing social media and news to cause entirely too much anxiety and tension in my body. I'm looking to start healthier habits that will stick, and so I can be more focused, present, and productive for myself and my family. So here are the rules for my 30-day digital detox. I'll set my main goal of not using Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Apple News, and Barstool Sports for 30 days, with the exception of 30 minutes on Saturday mornings. I will delete all the apps from my phone and I'll only be able to access them using my computer. In addition, I'll do a screen time evaluation today and again at the end of the 30 days to see how much time I was able to invest in more valuable activities. I also made a list of things that I want to do but have been putting off under the guise of not having enough time, like making music, exercising, learning piano, taking online courses, and reading. This list is meant to act as a suggestion for when I find myself with idle time where I might have been lured into checking my phone. Finally, I'll write out my consequences with my accountability partner and I'll sign my new habit contract. So without further ado, let's do this. All right, so I have to interject real quick. I just checked all of my statistics for the initial evaluation, and currently I spend 21 hours and 45 minutes on my phone per week. That's 3 hours and 6 minutes a day, which makes me feel real gross. And second, I spend 11 hours and 37 minutes just on social media apps. And because these things have been a problem for my mental well-being, I can't wait to see the evaluation at the end to see how I better used my time to help my mental well-being. Now, this isn't a hit piece on social media. We all know the game by now. We participate to stay connected, up to date, and to keep ourselves entertained, even though we fall victim to the FOMO, the trolls, advertising, and all the social vanity metrics. We seek validation in every aspect of our lives, and the grading system for that metric is that little red notification. For the past year and a half, I've been trying to limit my social media usage by setting limits on my phone just to ignore them every time they go off. While actively trying to curb my screen time, I would blatantly ignore my own rules and incessantly check my profiles on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. It's been 3 days since I started this social media detox, and I have to say, to be honest, I was very nervous and apprehensive the day I started this because I wasn't sure how I'd react to not being included, not being involved in my social life, quote unquote. And I've noticed that so far it's been kind of easy. I kind of look at it like I'm playing a game, trying to keep the phone away from me and not going on it at all and not seeing the apps on my computer. So far so good with that. I have noticed some positives and negatives so far. And so one of the quick negatives is that I keep finding myself reacting and reaching for my phone. So when I'm sitting at my desk working or waiting for a video to render or waiting for something like an email to come in or something, I find myself just reaching for my phone in that little void of time. So I hope that dissipates over time because it's kind of annoying, but it's good. It's a good reminder to see how many times you would actually just react and reach for your phone and kind of waste time there. So that leads us to the positives. I was actually curious to see if I will actually do more with those increments of time. As you saw at the beginning, the evaluation, that adds up to over 3 hours a day I was on my phone, but when they're in 5-minute increments of time, I was curious to see if I could actually be more productive. So one step I've taken in the last 3 days is to start making a daily task list each morning and just trying to focus on getting the things done on that list. I'm a type of person who used to just wake up in the morning and spend 30 to 35 minutes on my phone until I was awake and then roll out of bed and kind of just get to my day. I never really had a routine or the plan in place. And so now I'm starting to implement this, and so far I like it, so we'll see if it sticks, but I'll check back later to see how this is going. Of course, 2020 presented us with entirely too many challenges that increased anxiety and depression across the board, and I noticed that I was right there with everyone else, but still glued to my screen, making sure that I wouldn't miss anything that I should be doing, nor not doing, or outraged by. I spent countless hours talking about stories, threads, and articles that had nothing to do with me, all the while getting myself riled up and angry. I'm pretty sure I wasted way too many days because I just allowed social media to hijack my emotions. When I started to research why I kept sticking my hand back in the fire, I uncovered that those of us that can't control our social screen time are stuck in a dopamine reward loop. We crave those little red notifications because they give us the same feeling of playing a scratch ticket. You have to check back to see what you've won, or in this case, how many people liked or commented on your post. This loop begins when you pick up your phone and see a notification. Your brain releases dopamine, and that immediately makes you feel good. All right, time to check in. It is day 15, and so far, so good. I've kicked the habit of reaching for my phone because I realized I can't reach for it if it's not within reach. So I don't keep it in my pocket anymore. I don't keep it on my desk. Usually when I'm working, I keep it up in my bedroom or here in the kitchen. So it's just out of sight, out of mind. It seems to work pretty well. And so far I've had 2 Saturdays where I was allowed to go check my social accounts. The first Saturday, I just scrolled through Facebook and Instagram for maybe 10 minutes and I was very uninterested. And so I just, X'd out and just moved on with my day. The second Saturday, however, I was on for 5 minutes and I just saw a bunch of stuff that got me really anxious and put a lot of tension in my body and it just felt really crappy. So I don't really think I'm going to do that going forward again because it wasn't for me. I definitely feel an emotional calm and a mental clarity when I approach each day, and I know I still have my own personal self-image things to work on, but my day and my emotional state aren't being hijacked by social posts that I randomly see. So that's a good thing. So we'll see how this progresses as we go forward through the rest of the challenge, but so far so good. So if social feedback makes you feel good, then why is this a bad thing? Well, that feeling of happiness only lasts as long as it takes you to click on the comment. You read it, shut your phone, and 2 minutes later, you pick your phone back up looking for another bump. And when it's not there, you immediately feel bad. The problem is that the bad feeling pushes you further down than the good feeling lifted you up. And this goes on forever. The average person is on their phone 3 hours and 15 minutes a day, and I personally fall directly into this average. So why are we spending all this time on a device that makes us feel so terrible? We use these devices because they bring so much value to our lives as a tool. We can navigate practically anywhere in the world, purchase anything, and communicate to everyone. So let's talk about the law of diminishing returns. In this context, the concept is that when you start out using your phone, the time that you invest in it brings value to the overall production of your daily life. Eventually, though, you'll reach your natural limit and your time input will no longer equal the production output. And in fact, the longer you use your phone, the overall output will decrease tremendously. Have you ever opened your phone to do a quick task and then 15 minutes went by and you can't even remember why you even picked your phone up? This is exactly what the law of diminishing returns is talking about. The value of output is close to zero while you continue to use your phone for 3 hours and 15 minutes a day. At some point, we need to realize that our time is an extremely limited and valuable commodity, and spending it on the social media wasteland is a terrible investment. Time for our final check-in. It's day 30, and I'm kind of sad to see this month go. I mean, I was kind of skeptical, as I said, going into this. I'm not sure how it would be to feel cut off from everything that's happening, but at the end of the day, I think I'm going to stick with this because I feel a lot better. I'm able to do a lot more, and I'm really a lot more in control on how my day pans out as it goes. Because you never know what's going to happen to you just in your normal day-to-day life, but by not letting social media hijack the way I'm thinking and feeling, especially early in the morning, I've been able to build more of a solid foundation to help myself progress throughout the day. And of course, I have my ups and downs, as we all do, but I feel like on average, I've done a lot better at this. And so weaning off of this detox and going back into some normal life, I'm still going to keep the apps off my phone because I just don't enjoy using my phone throughout the day as I did. Now I feel kind of gross about it after doing this activity just because I kind of feel uneasy and that I should be doing something more productive. All right, now let's get down to the numbers. I'm going to compare my original screen time evaluation from the beginning of the challenge to the numbers that I have today on my app. I wrote them all down here. When I started the challenge, my screen time was at 21 hours, 45 minutes per week, which boils down to 3 hours and 6 minutes a day. The most important numbers here, though, were the 44 pickups per day average and the 11 hours and 37 minutes per week spent on social media apps. Now, let's see my results as of today. My weekly screen time average dropped to 6 hours and 10 minutes, which comes out to an average of just 53 minutes per day. My pickups dropped to 29 per day, and I spent 0 time on social media apps. So one of the main things I wanted to learn from this experiment was if I was actually able to get more done with those little chunks of time that I'd be on my phone normally. We know that the numbers add up at the end of the week, but is it practical to be able to do stuff in those little chunks of time? Now, after looking at all my numbers, I gained about 50 hours this month of time away from my phone to do things. And I will tell you that I actually did a ton of things. I was able to take my investing course every single night. I exercised twice a day doing mini circuits. I brought my dog to play every day, which is something that I kind of been putting off because it's winter, it's cold, I just couldn't find enough time. So I was able to do that. I read every morning. I have a solidified morning routine that I've done now for over 2.5 months, so I'm pretty sure that habit's gonna stick. And we've been able to start recording our podcast again and just finding time to get things moving again. And so with that 50 extra hours, I definitely think I was able to do a lot more. That brings me to the question, what did I miss about being away from social media? And going into this, I thought I'd miss a ton. I thought I'd miss the updates from my friends and family, and I'd be out of the loop and I wouldn't know what's happening. The few times I did check into Facebook, I didn't really miss anything. There wasn't anything that I was like, oh man, how can I be not here looking at all this stuff? So I don't really think I missed that much. What I do miss are like the jokes, the funny videos, and the things that go around, just the daily internet like goofiness. I was always there for the comedians and the jokes and stuff like that, but that wasn't valuable enough to bring all the other crap along with me. So my overall favorite thing about this entire challenge is that I'm come out of it with a clear head, I'm focused, and I'm not looking externally for this validity or validation or this comparison to other people. It's so easy to be on social media and feel bad about yourself because it's Friday night and you're sitting at home in your sweatpants doing nothing, and you look on and see that your friends or other people are out having a great time, they're all dressed up, they're doing all this cool stuff and you're not doing it. So it's just really not cool for us to take that so seriously and actually think that we are lesser than or that we're not good enough because other people are out living their lives and just take a picture of it. You have to remember that when you're taking your picture, someone's sitting at home thinking and feeling that they're not enough and that you're too cool too. So I think for me personally, I don't need to deal with any of that anymore. I'm sick of that narrative. It just consumes me too much. So I'm going to focus on what I'm doing. I want to focus on my friends and family. And if you want to reach out to me and say, hey, I'm here to say, hey, I really enjoy human connection, human interaction. But the whole, to-do about social media and the whole, this narcissistic renaissance that we're on, I don't need to be a part of that. I think I'm going to sit this one out going forward as much as I can. Obviously, I have things that I need to do on these platforms, so I can't just shut it off cold turkey, but I'm going to do my best to restrain and keep fighting the good fight. Imagine a world where you're in complete control of your time, your thoughts, and your emotions, not thrown down the rabbit hole of randomness, jealousy, judgment, comparison, or FOMO. For those of us who have grown up with social media and use it regularly, it might seem far-fetched to do this long-term without really shifting your whole life. But maybe that's the point. So now that I've completed my 30-day challenge, I'm left with a few obvious questions. Was it worth it? Would I recommend it? And would I do it again? Yes, yes, and yes. If you've ever found yourself scrolling endlessly through social media or felt the obvious change in your mood after reading or seeing something in your feed, then I would definitely give this a try. Maybe you don't do it a whole month, maybe it starts with 1 day a week, maybe try a whole week. See what happens when you're able to create some space between you and your phone and see what it does for your productivity and your mental clarity. All in all, I think that taking a break from social media and its daily influence on our lives seems harder to do before making the change. In reality, while it's certainly different from the norm, it's a lot easier to stomach once you make the leap, and in the end, we're better for it.